Hey, Miles here at Tactical Hyve, joined by our special guest, Rob Hyve from CCW Safe, who you probably have seen in a previous video. And today, Rob's here to talk about an often, I don't know if we should say debated, but we notice a lot of differing opinions, and that is whether having a firearm pistol and brandishing it is a de-escalation tool or does it escalate things. So if you're wondering, stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So, as I mentioned in the intro, a lot of people think that it might help de-escalate a situation or it could escalate a situation. Rob, what are your thoughts?
I think you're giving up your element of surprise. Mm-hmm. I never want to show my hand. I want to play my cards close. Mm-hmm. And another thing, this is one of those areas where statutorily around the country, it's so remarkably different. Mm-hmm. There are states where me just showing you I got a gun is a felony crime. Mm-hmm. So you have to understand the legal ramifications of just displaying. Yeah. Another thing is if I'm coming out with my firearm, there's a difference between Sewell mm-hmm. or low ready or stay back. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, this is a completely different beast.
Yeah, different posture.
And the other side of this is, depending on where I'm at, if you've got another concealed carrier coming in, mm-hmm. this is a huge fear of mine, to not have good position and kind of be caught flat-footed, and all of a sudden I've displayed a firearm, mm-hmm. and another good guy rounds the corner, and all he sees is me at the ready. Is he at a point yet that he can use lethal force on me? That's a huge concern. Mm-hmm. You know, we saw last year in Colorado, you had the active shooter and he killed a police officer, and police are responding from all over town. And at the same time, you got good guy coming out of another location, and all of a sudden he sees the guy, he's a legally licensed carrier. Mm. And he engages the target and puts him down. Closes the gap, goes up, recovers the bad guy's long gun, and responding officers pull up. They see a guy with a long gun. They know that one of their brothers is injured or dead, mm-hmm. and they engage him. And suddenly you've got a good Samaritan that just got killed by the police. I can't imagine the burden of having to live with that as an officer. But I've also been in that position where I've got partners that have been shot, and we're actively, aggressively hunting the violator. Mm. So there's so many things about it. So if I can, keep my cards close to the vest and just not let anybody know, I don't want anybody to know until the very last second. When I don't have any other choice, then I'm going to engage.
So there's an argument, and I completely understand what you're saying, and I do agree with that. In a little bit, we'll talk about how in our force-on-force classes, we kind of take the stand that it's more of an escalation tool, and I'll circle back to that in a little bit. And it's not black and white. We know there's instances where it's more complex than that, but we'll circle back to that. But playing kind of like devil's advocate here, where you want to keep this as a surprise, like this is your secret weapon. But how about the average gun owner? Maybe they're elderly too. Sure. And they're afraid, they don't really know, maybe they haven't practiced a lot, they don't have a fast draw or anything like that, and maybe a threat is just really up on them. Right. Doesn't seem like a deadly threat, but they have like nothing else. How do they stop that threat? They have no idea, and then they just kind of showing the pistol might prevent the threat from doing anything. So. In hope, hopes, and maybe that's the key word. It's a hope. But what are your thoughts on that? Because I know that's kind of like some people talk about that as an argument, I guess.
One of the things on that is totality of circumstances. So there's so many variables that play into whether a use of force was proper and justified. Mm-hmm. So if you've got somebody that is elderly, frail, infirm, or, you know, you and I got into an altercation and you hit me and I go down and I hit my head. So I've got this secondary injury and all of a sudden I'm disoriented, and that might open the door for me to be a little bit more aggressive in my defense. But man, these are all things that just, there's so much that goes into it, and it can snowball. We're also going to be judged on all the things that we do. You know, you've been a practicing martial artist. If you don't think we're going to find that out, that's going to come into the picture.
That could be a piece of the puzzle that actually bites you. Even
it can, yes. So, you know, for us, our biggest thing is for avoidance. You know, if I see a potential situation, man, if I can just bow out.
Absolutely.
Another thing is, I've been beat up on multiple continents. I used to brag about it. I've fought all over the world. I've done this. I've been beat up on multiple continents now, but I've studied fighting arts my whole entire life. I've enjoyed them, but active competition is confined. It's within rules and things like that. The thing that we have to avoid and be wary of is the ambush assault. And that's what most of these are. So you're already behind the curve. You're trying to play catch up. So you have to mentally prepare for that moment before that moment ever comes. It's the same as if I'm gonna have to be in a lethal force situation. I'm telling you right now, Matthew Little, another instructor out of Texas, great guy. He's retired Chicago PD, super, super good dude, man, just salt of the earth. I listened to him teaching a class 2 years ago, and it was one of the things he was doing in the non-shooting part of his presentation. But it was, you need to come to grips with what this is gonna be before you're ever in that situation. And man, I don't know if those people understood the value of the things he was telling them, but it was priceless. And it was just like, gosh, you have to be prepared for the mental aspect of this thing. And, you know, we talk about the post-incident fight, you know, the second fight. There are so many things. And our incident, the thing that brought us here, is usually gonna be started and finished in seconds. It's really fast, it's really violent. The second fight is gonna take a couple of years. And it is so overwhelming if you don't know what's coming. And it's one of the things that we really pride ourselves in, is being able to be with our members and going, this comes next, this comes next. I've been here. These are things you're gonna experience. That's kind of the route we go, so.
Well, thanks for the insight there, Rob. Now, let's go circle back to what I had mentioned earlier. In our Force and Force classes, we kind of take the side that having that gun, showing that gun, somebody who's very serious about hurting you or is a I don't know what to call it, a real criminal, I mean, he's really out there to do harm, they can see that as a threat. And then now, instead of backing down, that you just turned it up. Now it's the, foot on the gas. This does happen. There's footage of this as well. It's out there. And so when we, kind of going back to the original topic, is it a good idea to brandish? Is it a bad idea? Now, of course, there's state laws, so let's throw that on the wayside. But like just in terms of, let's say, self-defense, and would that escalate things or de-escalate things? It's in our experience, it escalates. So it kind of ties back to, why would you show your secret weapon, right? And like I mentioned earlier, it's not black and white. This is just kind of our default take, right? Now, maybe in circumstances like you were talking about, maybe it's an elderly woman, has no way to defend herself. Maybe, I don't know, there's not legal, maybe brandishing might help stop a threat or something from escalating. But what are your thoughts on that? Like our default stand, where it might even escalate things.
It very well may escalate it, especially if you're talking about a seasoned criminal. You and I had talked earlier when we met, and it was the thing of, these are things that these guys have been exposed to for years.
Yes.
And the only thing brandishing to them might do is just piss them off. I don't want to escalate anything if I don't have to.
Yeah.
These guys, you're talking about a criminal element in some of these cases that these guys have already been involved in gunfights. You just showing them the butt of the gun, that doesn't scare them.
Yes.
The other thing is proximity. You know, if he's across the room and I show him, oh, well, okay. But if we're this close and you show me your gun, I want your gun.
Yeah.
So, and something I learned a long time ago, I can't look at somebody just on sight and go, that guy's formidable. I know guys that don't look like anything and they will render you dormant. And I also know great big guys. We're out here at Vegas. We've walked the floor at SHOT Show and seen all the stuff.
Yeah.
And there are some really big guys walking around all macho and tough. And that
SHOT Show
means nothing to me. It means nothing to me. And yeah, there's some really amazingly skilled fighters that walk that floor. There's also a bunch of guys that dream that that's what I could do if I had to.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the way the world works.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. So if you're still watching this video, as you can see, it's complicated, and the reason why we default to that is specifically kind of the serious criminal. If you are going to be in a deadly conflict and there is someone pointing a gun, if it is somebody who is not a seasoned criminal, as you talked about, then maybe they're not going to even try to shoot you, right? And maybe they're just going to leave. But if the threat of, if you're dealing with a seasoned criminal, like you say, they see that gun, that's a threat, and now they're going to take you out. So as you watch other videos and as you kind of think about things, hopefully you take Rob's advice and insights to heart, because there's a lot that we have to think about, and this is why we're going to be continuing this series with CCW Safe. If you are not protected, if you guys are gun owners, definitely get protection before starting to work with CCW Safe. Even when we first started talking, I had mentioned that I was disappointed with other options out there, and CCW Safe, I really like these guys, really trust them. So if you don't have protection, or if you're looking for something better, make sure to check the link below. Rob, any closing thoughts for our viewers in regards to brandishing?
I still stick with don't be emotional. Try to be as thoughtful and rational as you possibly can be. I'm really big on mental imaging. I like to, I'm at an age now that I can't physically do as many repetitions in a self-defense thing as I could 20 years ago. I can still get those reps in my mind, and I can get perfect reps in my mind. So at least I'm not having to think about what I would do in situations.
Yeah.
It's something I taught recruits in the police academy for years and years, is to put yourself in an absolute worst case scenario. Work your way out of it.
Got it.
And work your way out of it perfectly. So there's so many things that we can do. It doesn't cost me money to do mental reps. So that's one of the things I like to see done.
Well, Rob, thank you again so much. I really appreciate it. Viewers, if you like this type of content, make sure you let us know in the comments below. And we want to address what questions you have now regarding the next fight, the second fight, not just necessarily when you're in the thick of it, but legally. So leave your questions below. We'll have Rob again in the future, so those are topics we can cover. If you like the video, please make sure to give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. See you guys in the next one.